The galaxy was on fire. For decades, humanity had reached for the stars, building colonies, forging alliances, and dreaming of peace among the cosmos. But those dreams were now ashes. The Krytos Alliance, a coalition of insectoid species with razor-sharp claws and a hunger for conquest, had turned the galaxy into a war zone. Their fleets swept through human territories like a plague, leaving behind only ruins and silence. Billions of lives were lost, and Earth itself was no longer safe. Admiral Daniel Carter stood in the dimly lit briefing room of the United Earth Defense Headquarters. His face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes burned with determination. Around him, holographic maps floated in the air, showing the scattered remnants of human colonies still holding on against the relentless Krytos advance. The situation was dire. If something wasn't done soon, humanity would be wiped out entirely. A soft knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. Captain Lisa Monroe stepped inside, her uniform crisp despite the chaos outside. She carried herself with quiet confidence, though Daniel could see the weight of recent battles etched into her expression. Lisa had seen too much, too many friends lost, too many ships destroyed. But she hadn't broken yet. Not fully. "Admiral," she said, saluting briefly before taking the seat across from him. "You wanted to see me." Daniel nodded, leaning forward. "We've been pushed to the edge, Lisa. Earth is next unless we act now. The Council has authorized one final push, a counterattack that might give us a fighting chance." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "One final push? With what?" "Our fleet's in pieces, morale is at rock bottom, and the Krytos keep coming faster than we can rebuild." He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he tapped a control panel, bringing up a new image. A sleek, massive warship bristling with weapons. It was the Eclipse Vanguard Asterisk, the crown jewel of humanity's desperate gamble. Its design incorporated cutting-edge technology reverse-engineered from alien artifacts captured during earlier skirmishes. Weapons capable of tearing through even the toughest Krytos armor. Shields strong enough to withstand barrages that would vaporize older ships. "This is our hope," Daniel said finally. "The invincible armée. We're gathering every ship we have left, retrofitting them with whatever tech we can scavenge. And you'll be leading the charge alongside me." Lisa stared at the hologram, her jaw tightening. "It's risky. Even with the Vanguard Asterisk, we're outnumbered 10-1. "We don't have a choice," Daniel replied firmly. "If we wait any longer, there won't be anything left to save." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the overhead lights filled the silence as Lisa processed the enormity of the task ahead. Finally, she nodded. "All right. I'm in. But we'll need more than just firepower if we're going to pull this off." Daniel smiled faintly. "I know. That's why I've asked Lieutenant Ryan Hughes to join us. He's young, but he's got guts and skill. Plus, engineer Samantha Brooks will oversee the tech upgrades. If anyone can make these ships ready for battle, it's her." Lisa exhaled slowly, then stood. "Let's get to work then, because if we fail..." She trailed off, not needing to finish the sentence. As she left the room, Daniel leaned back in his chair, staring at the hologram of the Eclipse Vanguard Asterisk. Somewhere deep down, doubt gnawed at him. Was this really their best shot? Or were they simply delaying the inevitable? Shaking his head, he pushed the thought aside. Whatever happened, humanity would fight until the very end. And maybe, just maybe, they'd find a way to survive. The docks were alive with activity as workers swarmed over the ships like ants tending to their nest. The air smelled of grease, metal, and the faint tang of ozone from welding torches. Every available hand was busy retrofitting vessels, loading supplies, or running last-minute diagnostics on systems that would soon face the ultimate test. The invincible armada was coming together piece by piece, but it wasn't without challenges. Lieutenant Ryan Hughes stood near the edge of the docking bay, watching as engineers scrambled around his fighter craft, a sleek, single-pilot vessel called the Shadow Strike Asterisk. He ran a hand through his short brown hair, feeling both excitement and dread bubbling inside him. This was his chance to prove himself, to show that he belonged among the best pilots in the fleet. But the stakes were higher than ever. If they failed, there wouldn't be another shot at redemption. Nearby, Samantha Sam Brooks crouched under the belly of a larger cruiser, her fingers flying over a control panel as sparks flew from faulty wiring. She muttered to herself, occasionally snapping orders at nearby technicians. Sam had been working non-stop for days, barely sleeping, fueled only by coffee and sheer determination. Her designs were the backbone of the fleet's new technology, and she refused to let anything go wrong, not when so much depended on it. Captain Lisa Monroe walked along the rows of ships, inspecting each one carefully. She stopped beside Ryan, crossing her arms as she studied the asterisk Shadow Strike asterisk. "Looks ready," she said after a moment. Ryan nodded quickly, trying not to seem too eager. "Yes, Mom. Just waiting for final clearance." Lisa gave him a small smile. "Don't worry, Lieutenant. You'll get your chance to shine soon enough." Then her expression turned serious. "Just remember, this isn't some training exercise. Out there, hesitation gets people killed." "Yes, Ma'am," Ryan replied, swallowing hard. He knew what she meant. Everyone did. This wasn't about glory, it was about survival. Admiral Daniel Carter arrived just then, flanked by a group of officers. His presence immediately drew attention, and the noise level in the dock dropped slightly. He moved with purpose, stopping here and there to speak briefly with crew members or check on progress. When he reached Lisa and Ryan, he wasted no time getting to the point. "How are we looking?" he asked, glancing between them. Lisa gestured toward the nearest ship. "Most of the upgrades are complete. Weapons systems are online, and Sam's team is finishing up the shielding modifications. We should be ready to launch within 48 hours. Daniel nodded approvingly. "Good. Time is something we don't have much of." His gaze shifted to Ryan. "Lieutenant, I hear you volunteered for a special mission." Ryan straightened instinctively. "Yes, sir. Whatever you need, I'm ready." Daniel studied him for a moment before speaking. "There's a reason I picked you for this. Your skills in close-quarters combat and stealth operations will be critical if we're going to pull this off. But understand, it's dangerous. Very dangerous." "I understand, sir," Ryan said firmly. "I won't let you down." Satisfied, Daniel turned back to Lisa. "Make sure everyone knows what's at stake. No heroics. Follow the plan and stick together. That's how we win." As the Admiral moved on, Lisa placed a reassuring hand on Ryan's shoulder. "You heard the man. Stick to the plan, and you'll be fine." Ryan nodded again, though his stomach churned with nervous energy. He glanced around at the bustling dock, taking in the sight of countless people working tirelessly to prepare for war. For the first time, he truly understood the weight of what they were doing. These weren't just ships. They were humanity's last hope. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ryan found himself staring out at the sea of stars visible through the dock's massive windows. Somewhere out there, the Krytos waited, preparing for their next move. Ryan clenched his fists, resolve hardening within him. They might be outnumbered, outgunned, and pushed to the brink, but they weren't beaten yet. Not while he still had breath in his lungs. The fleet gathered in the vastness of space, a collection of ships large and small, each one bristling with weapons and determination. The asterisk Eclipse Vanguard asterisk stood at the center, its massive frame glowing faintly under the light of a distant star. Around it, dozens of cruisers, destroyers, and fighter squadrons formed a protective ring. It was an impressive sight, but no one aboard any of the ships felt pride. Only tension. They were heading into the unknown, and everyone knew the odds were against them. Admiral Daniel Carter stood on the bridge of the asterisk Vanguard asterisk, staring out at the assembled fleet through the wide viewport. His hands rested lightly on the railing as he listened to the hum of activity behind him. Officers moved between stations, checking systems, running simulations, and ensuring every ship was ready for hyperspace. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. This was it. There would be no turning back once they made the jump. Captain Lisa Monroe approached him, her boots clicking softly against the metal floor. "All ships report ready for transition, Admiral," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We're waiting on your order." Daniel nodded without looking at her. "Signal the fleet. Prepare for hyperspace entry in 5 minutes." Lisa relayed the command, and within moments, the comm channels crackled with acknowledgments from every captain. The countdown began, and the bridge fell silent except for the rhythmic beeping of instruments. Ryan Hughes sat strapped into his cockpit aboard the Shadow Strike Asterisk, gripping the controls tightly as adrenaline coursed through his veins. He glanced at the timer on his dashboard. 3 minutes until launch. As the fleet prepared to enter hyperspace, strange things started happening. On several ships, crew members reported flickering lights and sudden drops in power. Others claimed to hear eerie whispers over the comms, though no one could trace the source. Some dismissed it as stress or faulty equipment, but others weren't so sure. Deep in the engine room of the Vanguard Asterisk, Sam Brooks frowned as readings on her tablet spiked erratically. She tapped her headset. "Bridge, this is engineering. We're picking up unusual energy fluctuations. Could be interference from the nebula ahead." "Understood," Lisa replied. "Keep monitoring it. Let us know if anything changes." Sam didn't respond immediately. Something about the data bothered her, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Shaking her head, she turned back to her work, determined to stay focused. Back on the bridge, Daniel finally turned to face Lisa. "What's the status?" he asked quietly. She hesitated before answering. "Everything's green, but there's something off. The crew's on edge, and these anomalies aren't helping morale." Daniel sighed. "It's probably nothing. Still, keep an eye on it. Once we hit hyperspace, we'll have bigger problems to worry about." The countdown reached 0, and the fleet surged forward, disappearing into the swirling tunnel of hyperspace. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Then the whispers returned, not just on the comms, but in the minds of the crew. Vague images flashed before their eyes. Burning planets, shattered fleets, endless waves of Krytos warriors swarming toward Earth. Many woke with a start, unsure whether they'd been dreaming or experiencing something far more sinister. Lisa leaned closer to Daniel, lowering her voice. "Sir, I think we're walking into a trap." He met her gaze steadily. "Maybe. But fear can't stop us now. Whatever's waiting for us on the other side, we'll face it together." Lisa nodded, though unease lingered in her expression. She glanced at the swirling colors of hyperspace outside the viewport and whispered to herself, "I hope you're right." Farther back in the fleet, Ryan stared out at the hypnotic patterns of hyperspace, his mind racing. He couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was watching them. Clenching his jaw, he muttered, "Bring it on." The fleet emerged from hyperspace near the edge of a dense, glowing nebula. The swirling clouds of gas and dust painted the void with hues of red, orange, and purple, creating a hauntingly beautiful scene. But there was no time to admire it. Sensors immediately picked up movement. Dozens of small ships darting through the chaos like insects disturbed from their nest. Admiral Daniel Carter stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Vanguard Asterisk, his sharp eyes scanning the data streaming across the main screen. "Identify those ships," he ordered, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "It's a Krytos scouting party," replied one of the officers. "Looks like they were patrolling the area." Lisa Monroe stepped closer to the display, her brow furrowed. "They're signaling us. It's some kind of communication attempt." "Can we translate it?" Daniel asked. "No luck yet," said another officer. "Their language is too complex for our systems to decode quickly." Daniel frowned. "Open a channel. Let's see if we can talk to them." A moment later, the bridge speakers crackled to life. Strange, high-pitched screeches filled the room, followed by bursts of static that seemed to pulse in rhythm. It wasn't just sound. It felt invasive, as though the noise was trying to claw its way into their minds. Several crew members winced, covering their ears instinctively. Lisa turned to Daniel. "This isn't going to work. They're not interested in talking." He nodded grimly. "Agreed. Signal the fleet. Defensive positions. If they make a move, we respond." The order spread quickly, and within moments, the human ships formed a tight formation, weapons powered up and ready. The Krytos scouts didn't retreat. Instead, they began circling the fleet, their movements erratic but clearly aggressive. Their insectoid forms shimmered in the light of the nebula, their jagged exoskeletons glinting like blades. Ryan Hughes gripped the controls of his fighter, his heart pounding. He could see the Krytos ships zipping past his viewport, close enough to make out details. They looked more machine than creature, their bodies fused with metallic armor and glowing energy cores. "These things are creepy," he muttered under his breath. On the bridge of the Vanguard Sam Brooks monitored the situation from an engineering station. Her fingers flew over her tablet as she analyzed the enemy ship's energy signatures. "Their weapons are charged," she warned. "They're about to attack." "Not if we hit them first," Daniel said firmly. Turning to Lisa, he added, "Target their lead ship. Let's show them what we're capable of." Lisa relayed the command, and the Vanguard unleashed its primary weapon, a concentrated beam of quantum energy that sliced through space like a blade. The lead Krytos scout exploded in a brilliant flash, debris scattering into the nebula. Before the rest could react, the human fleet opened fire, unleashing a barrage of missiles and laser blasts. What happened next shocked everyone. The Krytos ships didn't stand a chance. Humanity's advanced weaponry tore through their defenses as though they were made of paper. One by one, the alien vessels disintegrated, leaving behind only trails of vaporized metal and floating fragments. Within seconds, the skirmish was over. Silence fell over the fleet as the crew processed what they had just witnessed. Lisa broke the quiet. "That shouldn't have been that easy." Daniel nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. "They weren't prepared for us. Whatever intel they had, it underestimated our capabilities." Ryan let out a shaky breath as he watched the remains of the Krytos ships drift away. "Does this mean we got the upper hand?" Sam spoke up, her tone cautious. "Maybe, or maybe they were testing us. Either way, we just announced ourselves to the entire Krytos fleet. They'll know we're here now." Daniel turned to face his crew. "Then let's be ready for whatever comes next. Helm, set a course deeper into the nebula. We need to find their main force and end this before they regroup." As the fleet moved forward, uncertainty lingered in the air. Victory had come swiftly, but at what cost? And how long would their advantage last? The fleet pressed deeper into the nebula, the swirling clouds of gas and dust growing thicker with every passing moment. The eerie glow of the surrounding colors cast shifting shadows on the faces of the crew aboard the Eclipse Vanguard Tension hung heavy in the air as sensors scanned for any sign of the Krytos forces. Everyone knew they were getting closer to the heart of the enemy's operation, but no one could predict what awaited them. Admiral Daniel Carter stood at the center of the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main display screen. Streams of data flowed across it, showing the nebula's density and radiation levels. "How much farther?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. "About 10 clicks," replied Megan Hayes, the intelligence officer seated at her station. Her fingers danced over the controls as she analyzed incoming information. "We're picking up increased energy signatures ahead. Could be their main fleet." Lisa Monroe leaned over Megan's shoulder, studying the readings. "Or it could be a trap," she said quietly, glancing at Daniel. "This feels too easy." Daniel nodded but didn't respond. Instead, he turned to the communications officer. "Send out a low-frequency scan. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with before we get any closer." As the scan initiated, Ryan Hughes sat in the cockpit of his fighter, staring out at the nebula. His mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. He'd seen how quickly their weapons had destroyed the Krytos scouts, but something about it felt wrong. Why hadn't the enemy fought back harder? Were they really that unprepared, or was there something else going on? Back on the Vanguard *, Megan suddenly straightened in her seat. "Sir, we've got something big. Really big." She tapped a few keys, and an image appeared on the main screen. A colossal structure surrounded by hundreds of smaller ships. It looked like a living thing, its surface covered in organic ridges and pulsating veins of light. "That's their mothership," Lisa breathed, her voice tinged with awe and dread. "It's massive." Megan nodded. "And those smaller ships are fighters and support vessels. They're guarding it like a fortress." Daniel studied the image carefully. "Any weak points?" Megan hesitated before answering. "Hard to say. The shields around the mothership are incredibly strong. Breaking through won't be easy." Sam Brooks stepped forward, holding her tablet. "If we can disable their shield generators, we might have a shot, but we'll need to get close, too close." Daniel thought for a moment, then began issuing orders. "All right, here's the plan. We'll split the fleet into 3 groups. Group 1 will engage the outer defenses head-on, drawing their attention. Group 2 will circle around and hit them from behind. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Hughes will lead a stealth team aboard the Shadow Strike to infiltrate the mothership and take out their shield systems." Ryan perked up at the mention of his name. "You want me to go inside that thing?" "Yes," Daniel replied without hesitation. "Your skills are perfect for this mission. You'll have backup, but speed is critical. Once the shields are down, we'll launch our final assault." Lisa placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "You heard him. Stick to the plan, and don't hesitate. If you fail, we all fail." Ryan swallowed hard but nodded. "Understood." As the fleet prepared to execute the strategy, Sam approached Daniel. "Admiral, there's one more thing. Radiation levels in the nebula are rising. It's interfering with our systems. If we stay too long, it could cause serious problems." Daniel sighed. "We don't have time to wait. Tell everyone to compensate as best they can. We're committed now." The orders spread throughout the fleet, and engines roared to life as the ships adjusted their positions. Ahead, the Krytos mothership loomed larger with each passing second, its alien design both fascinating and terrifying. Ryan gripped the controls of his fighter, his knuckles white. This was it, the moment everything came down to. As the fleet surged forward, he whispered to himself, "Let's do this." The fleet moved with precision, splitting into 3 groups as planned. The Eclipse Vanguard led the first group, charging straight toward the Krytos mothership in a bold frontal assault. Their weapons blazed, lighting up the nebula with streaks of energy as they clashed with the enemy's outer defenses. Explosions erupted in space, sending shockwaves rippling through the gas clouds. Captain Lisa Monroe commanded the second group, circling wide to attack from behind. Her ships darted through the chaos, targeting smaller Krytos vessels and drawing their attention away from the main force. It was a risky maneuver, but it worked. The Krytos fighters scrambled to respond, leaving gaps in their formation that the humans exploited ruthlessly. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ryan Hughes and his stealth team aboard the Shadow Strike slipped quietly into the fray. Using advanced cloaking technology, they avoided detection as they approached the massive mothership. The ship loomed ahead, its surface pulsing with strange lights and organic ridges that seemed almost alive. Ryan clenched his jaw, focusing on the mission. This was the most dangerous part. They had to get inside without being noticed. Back on the Vanguard Admiral Daniel Carter watched the battle unfold on the main screen. His eyes flicked between the different feeds showing each group's progress. "Group 2 is holding their position," he said, nodding to Lisa's report over the comm. "How's Ryan doing?" Sam Brooks checked her tablet, monitoring the Shadow Strike status. They're still cloaked and closing in on the target. So far, so good. Daniel exhaled slowly, his hands gripping the railing. Let's hope it stays that way. Inside the Shadow Strike Ryan guided the ship closer to the mothership. The crew around him worked silently, double-checking systems and preparing for the infiltration. Among them was engineer Alex Cole, a wiry man with quick hands who had volunteered for this mission, despite knowing the risks. He glanced at Ryan. "Ready when you are, sir." Ryan nodded. "All right, everyone. Once we dock, stick to the plan. Move fast, stay quiet, and don't engage unless you have to. Our job is to disable those shields, not fight their entire army." As the Shadow Strike latched onto the side of the mothership, Ryan and his team suited up in sleek black combat gear, arming themselves with compact plasma rifles and EMP grenades. The airlock hissed open, revealing a dark corridor beyond. The walls were slick with some kind of glowing fluid, and faint screeches echoed in the distance. Ryan led the way, motioning for the others to follow. They moved cautiously, sticking to the shadows as they navigated the labyrinthine passages. Every step felt heavier than the last, the weight of the mission pressing down on them. Ryan's heart raced as he scanned the area, searching for any sign of Krytos warriors. Suddenly, Alex held up a hand, signaling everyone to stop. He pointed to a panel on the wall ahead. "That's the shield control node," he whispered. "If we can sabotage it, we'll bring the shields down." Ryan nodded. "Do it. Fast." Alex knelt by the panel, pulling out tools to bypass the alien system. As he worked, Ryan kept watch, his rifle raised and ready. The eerie silence was unnerving, broken only by the occasional drip of fluid from the ceiling. Then, a sharp screech pierced the air. A Krytos patrol was approaching. "Hurry up," Ryan muttered under his breath. "I'm going as fast as I can." Alex shot back, his fingers trembling as he worked the wires. The sound of claws scraping against metal grew louder. Ryan turned to the rest of the team. "Get ready. We might have company." Seconds later, the Krytos appeared, tall, insectoid creatures with jagged limbs and glowing eyes. They moved quickly, their movements jerky but purposeful. Ryan fired a warning shot, hitting one in the chest and sending it stumbling backward. The others responded instantly, diving into cover as plasma bolts filled the corridor. "Alex," Ryan shouted, "now or never." With a final twist of his tool, Alex grinned. "Done. Shields are down." Before they could celebrate, more Krytos poured into the hallway, surrounding them. Ryan cursed under his breath. "Fall back. We've got what we came for." The team retreated down the corridor, firing blindly as they ran. Behind them, alarms blared, and the mothership shuddered violently. They'd reached the Shadow Strike just in time, sealing the hatch as enemy fire ricocheted off the hull. "Get us out of here," Ryan yelled to the pilot. The ship detached from the mothership and sped away, joining the chaos of the battle outside. On the Vanguard Daniel received the news with grim satisfaction. "Shields are down. All units, prepare for the final push." The stage was set, for victory or disaster. The battlefield erupted into chaos as the human fleet launched its final assault. With the Krytos mothership's shields down, the Eclipse Vanguard unleashed its quantum annihilator cannon, a weapon of unimaginable power. A blinding beam of energy shot through space, striking the mothership with devastating force. The massive structure shuddered violently, its glowing veins dimming as chunks of its hull broke apart and drifted into the nebula. Admiral Daniel Carter stood on the bridge, his jaw clenched as he watched the destruction unfold. "All ships, focus fire on the mothership," he commanded, his voice cutting through the noise of alarms and shouts. The human fleet obeyed, unleashing a relentless barrage of missiles, lasers, and plasma torpedoes. The Krytos forces scrambled to respond, but without their central command ship intact, their coordination crumbled. Fighters darted aimlessly, colliding with debris or falling victim to the human superior firepower. Inside the Shadow Strike Asterisk, Ryan Hughes and his team fought to stay alive as they navigated the collapsing corridors of the dying mothership. Alarms screamed in their ears, and the walls groaned under the strain of structural failure. Glowing fluids leaked from ruptured conduits, pooling on the floor and making every step treacherous. "We need to get out of here now," Alex Cole shouted over the din, clutching his rifle tightly. His face was streaked with sweat, and his hands trembled as he fired at a group of Krytos warriors blocking their path. The creatures screeched in fury, their claws slicing through the air as they lunged forward. Ryan took aim, firing precise shots that dropped two of the aliens instantly. "Keep moving. Don't let them surround us," he yelled, his voice hoarse from shouting. The team pushed forward, dodging enemy fire and leaping over fallen debris. Behind them, sections of the corridor collapsed, sealing off escape routes and forcing them deeper into the ship. On the Vanguard Sam Brooks worked frantically to stabilize the fleet's systems. Radiation from the nebula had begun wreaking havoc on the ship's reactors, causing power fluctuations and overheating engines. Sparks flew from consoles across the engineering bay as her crew scrambled to contain the damage. "We're losing stability on multiple ships," she reported to Daniel. "If we don't fix this soon, we won't be able to hold formation." "Do what you can," Daniel replied sharply. He turned to Lisa, who stood nearby, coordinating attacks with the other captains. "How are Groups 1 and 2 holding up?" Lisa checked her tablet, her expression grim. "Group 1 is battered but still operational. Group 2, they've taken heavy losses. We're losing fighters fast." Daniel nodded, his mind racing. They couldn't afford to slow down now, not when victory was within reach. "Tell them to fall back and regroup near the Vanguard asterisk. We'll cover them while they recover." As the order spread, the surviving ships of Group 2 retreated toward the flagship, pursued by waves of Krytos fighters. The humans' rear guard opened fire, creating a wall of explosions that forced the enemy to break off their chase. It was a costly maneuver, but it bought enough time for the damaged vessels to limp back into formation. Meanwhile, aboard the Shadow Strike Asterisk, Ryan and his team finally reached the docking bay where they had entered the mothership. The small fighter craft sat waiting, its engines humming faintly. But as they approached, a massive Krytos warrior emerged from the shadows, towering over them with razor-sharp claws raised high. "There's no way past him," Alex cried, backing away instinctively. Ryan stepped forward, gripping his rifle tightly. "Then we'll make one." He fired repeatedly, aiming for the creature's glowing eyes, the only visible weak point. The alien roared in pain, stumbling backward but refusing to fall. Ryan gritted his teeth, emptying the last of his ammunition into the beast until it finally collapsed, twitching feebly before going still. "Go! Go!" Ryan shouted, ushering the others onto the ship. Once everyone was aboard, he slammed the hatch shut and strapped himself into the pilot's seat. The Shadow Strike Asterisk roared to life, blasting free of the crumbling mothership just as the entire structure imploded in a brilliant explosion. Back on the Vanguard Asterisk, the crew cheered as the mothership disintegrated, taking countless Krytos fighters with it. But the battle wasn't over yet. Surviving enemy ships regrouped, preparing for one last desperate charge. Daniel stared at the screen, his resolve unwavering. "They're not done fighting," he said quietly. "And neither are we." The remnants of the Krytos fleet surged forward in a desperate counterattack, their numbers reduced but their ferocity undiminished. The human ships braced for impact as waves of alien fighters closed in, weapons blazing. Explosions lit up the nebula, sending shockwaves rippling through the gas clouds. The battle was far from over. On board the Shadow Strike Asterisk, Ryan Hughes and his team emerged from the wreckage of the mothership, battered but alive. Smoke filled the cockpit, and warning lights blinked furiously on the control panel. "We're not going to last much longer," Alex Cold shouted, clutching a deep gash on his arm. Blood seeped through his fingers, but he ignored the pain, focusing instead on keeping the ship's failing systems online. Ryan gripped the controls tightly, his knuckles white. "Hang on," he yelled, dodging incoming fire from a pair of Krytos fighters. The small craft shuddered violently as energy blasts grazed its hull. Ryan banked hard to the left, weaving between chunks of debris from the destroyed mothership. He could see the Eclipse Vanguard in the distance, its massive frame glowing faintly amidst the chaos. Just a little farther, back on the flagship, Admiral Daniel Carter watched the Shadow Strike struggle to reach safety. His expression hardened as he turned to Lisa Monroe. "Send out a squadron to cover them. They've done enough. We can't lose them now." Lisa nodded and relayed the order. A group of human fighters peeled away from the main force, forming a protective screen around the damaged Shadow Strike. Their guns blazed, driving off the pursuing Krytos ships and giving Ryan's team a fighting chance to escape. Meanwhile, Sam Brooks worked tirelessly in the engineering bay, her face streaked with soot and sweat. The radiation from the nebula was wreaking havoc on the Vanguard reactors, causing power surges that threatened to cripple the entire ship. Sparks flew as she and her crew scrambled to reroute energy flows and stabilize the core. "If we don't fix this soon, we'll lose engines," she warned, shouting over the din of alarms. Daniel heard her report but didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stared at the tactical display, his mind racing. The surviving Krytos ships were regrouping, forming a tight formation around a single large cruiser, their last remaining command vessel. It wasn't as powerful as the mothership had been, but it still posed a significant threat. "We need to finish this," Daniel said finally, turning to Lisa. "Target their command ship. Full firepower." Lisa hesitated. "Sir, our shields are already weak. If we focus all our energy on offense—" "I know the risks," Daniel interrupted, his voice firm. "But if we don't take them out now, they'll keep coming back. We have one shot at ending this. Let's make it count." Reluctantly, Lisa gave the order. The Vanguard redirected every available resource to its weapon systems, leaving its defenses dangerously low. The other ships followed suit, forming a spearhead aimed directly at the enemy cruiser. As they charged forward, the Krytos forces opened fire, their blasts hammering against the human fleet's weakened shields. Inside the Shadow Strike Ryan finally reached the safety of the Vanguard hangar bay. He stumbled out of the cockpit, exhausted but determined. Alex limped beside him, supported by another crew member. "Admiral Carter needs to know," Ryan panted, addressing a nearby officer. "Their shield generators are vulnerable. Hit them there. It's the only way." The message was relayed to the bridge just as the fleet unleashed its final barrage. The combined firepower of the human ships struck the Krytos cruiser with overwhelming force, targeting the exact weak points Ryan had identified. The enemy ship buckled under the assault, its hull cracking open as internal explosions tore it apart. Seconds later, it erupted in a blinding flash, taking the rest of the Krytos fleet with it. As the light faded, silence fell over the battlefield. The humans had won, but at a terrible cost. Dozens of ships were lost, and countless lives sacrificed. On the bridge of the Vanguard Daniel slumped into his chair, his shoulders heavy with both relief and grief. Lisa placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's over," she said softly. For now, it was. But as Daniel stared out at the drifting wreckage, he couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy still held dangers they hadn't yet imagined. The silence that followed the destruction of the Krytos cruiser was deafening. The once chaotic battlefield was now eerily still, filled only with drifting debris and the faint glow of the nebula. The human fleet floated in formation, battered but alive. Ships listed in space, their hulls scorched and broken, while emergency lights flickered inside cabins and corridors. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, there were no enemy ships left to fight. Admiral Daniel Carter stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Vanguard *, his hands gripping the railing as he stared out at the wreckage. His mind replayed the battle, the sacrifices made, the lives lost, the sheer weight of what they had accomplished. He turned to Lisa Monroe, who stood nearby, her face pale but resolute. "Casualty reports?" he asked quietly. Lisa hesitated before answering. "Heavy losses, sir. Over a third of our fleet is gone. Many more are too damaged to make the journey back to Earth." Daniel nodded slowly, his jaw tightening. "And the survivors? We'll need to redistribute crews among the remaining ships," she replied. "Some will have to share quarters. Supplies are low, but we should have enough to last until we reach friendly territory." Ryan Hughes sat slumped in the corner of the hangar bay aboard the Vanguard *, his body aching from the strain of the mission. Around him, wounded crew members were being treated by medics, their groans mixing with the hum of repair drones working tirelessly to patch up damaged ships. Alex Cole lay on a makeshift cot nearby, his arm bandaged and his eyes closed. Ryan wanted to feel relief, pride even, but all he could think about were the faces of those who hadn't made it back. Sam Brooks emerged from the engineering bay, her clothes stained with grease and her hair tied back in a messy ponytail. She approached Ryan, offering him a small smile. "You did good out there," she said softly. "We couldn't have done it without you." Ryan shook his head. "It doesn't feel like a win. Too many people didn't come home." Sam sighed, sitting beside him. "War's never clean, but because of what you did, billions on Earth might get to live another day. That counts for something." On the bridge, Daniel addressed the fleet over the comm system. His voice was steady, though tinged with sorrow. "This victory came at a great cost. We lost friends, comrades, and heroes today. Each of them gave everything to protect humanity. Let us honor their memory by finishing what we started. Our journey isn't over yet. We still have to get home." As his words echoed through the ships, the surviving crew members paused whatever they were doing, bowing their heads in quiet reflection. In the mess hall of one cruiser, a young ensign wiped away tears as she thought of her roommate, who had died sealing a hull breach. On another ship, a veteran pilot stared at a photograph of his family, silently promising to see them again. Despite the losses, there was also a sense of determination. The humans had faced an unstoppable force and emerged victorious. They had proven that even outnumbered and outgunned, they could fight back. As repairs continued and the fleet prepared to leave the nebula, morale began to rise, not out of joy, but out of resilience. Later that evening, Daniel walked alone along the outer deck of the Vanguard *. The stars stretched endlessly before him, cold and distant. He thought about Earth, about the billions of people counting on him to keep them safe. This battle was won, but the war wasn't over. The Krytos Alliance might regroup, or worse, other threats could emerge from the darkness of space. Lisa joined him after a while, standing silently at his side. "What happens now?" she asked. Daniel exhaled slowly. "We go home. We rebuild. And we prepare for whatever comes next." Lisa nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "They'll remember this day," she said softly. "The day humanity fought back and won." Daniel didn't respond immediately. Instead, he looked out at the stars, his expression unreadable. For now, they had bought themselves time. But the galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and unforgiving. Whatever challenges awaited them, one thing was certain: humanity would face them together. The battered fleet limped its way back toward Earth, each ship carrying the weight of both triumph and loss. The journey was long and quiet, marked by moments of reflection rather than celebration. The crew members worked tirelessly to keep their vessels running, patching leaks, rerouting power, and sharing supplies among the survivors. Despite the exhaustion etched on every face, there was a shared understanding that they had done something extraordinary. They had stood against impossible odds and won. Admiral Daniel Carter spent most of his time in the war room aboard the Eclipse Vanguard *, poring over reports and planning for the future. The battle had revealed humanity's strength, but it had also exposed vulnerabilities. Their technology was advanced, yes, but fragile under pressure. The nebula's radiation had nearly crippled the fleet, and many ships were still barely operational. As he stared at maps of human-controlled space, he couldn't shake the feeling that this victory was only temporary. The Krytos Alliance might return with greater numbers or new strategies. Or worse, another enemy could rise from the depths of uncharted space. Captain Lisa Monroe often joined him, offering updates on the fleet's condition and discussing strategies for rebuilding once they reached Earth. One evening, as the stars streamed past the viewport, she spoke up. "Do you think we'll ever truly be safe?" she asked, her voice soft but tinged with weariness. Daniel didn't answer right away. He turned to look at her, seeing not just a fellow officer but someone who had carried the same burdens he had. "Safe? No," he said finally. "But prepared? Yes. That's what we have to focus on now. We've proven we can fight. Now we need to make sure we're ready for whatever comes next." Lisa nodded, though her expression remained troubled. She glanced out at the endless expanse of space. "It's so big out there. So many unknowns." "Exactly," Daniel replied. "And that's why we can't stop here. Humanity has taken its first real step into the galactic stage. We've shown we won't go quietly. But survival isn't enough. We need to thrive." As the fleet approached Earth's orbit weeks later, the planet came into view, a blue-green jewel floating serenely against the blackness of space. For many aboard the ships, it was the first glimpse of home in years. Cheers broke out spontaneously, mingling with tears of relief and joy. They had made it. Against all odds, they had returned. Ryan Hughes stood on the observation deck of the Vanguard *, watching Earth grow larger through the window. His mind drifted to those who hadn't come back. The pilots, engineers, and soldiers whose sacrifices had made this moment possible. He clenched his fists, vowing silently to honor their memory. Whatever happened next, he would continue fighting, not just for himself, but for them. Sam Brooks sat nearby, tinkering with a small piece of machinery salvaged from the Shadow Strike *. She looked up when Ryan stepped closer. "Feels strange, doesn't it?" she said with a faint smile. "Being so close to home after everything." Ryan nodded. "Yeah, feels heavy." "It should," Sam replied. "What we did out there, it changed things. Changed us. But maybe that's okay." Later that day, Daniel addressed the entire fleet one final time before they docked. His voice carried across every channel, steady and resolute. "Today marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. We faced darkness and emerged stronger. Remember those we lost. They gave everything so we could live. Let their courage guide us as we rebuild and prepare for the future. Humanity isn't just surviving anymore. We're fighting back. And no matter what comes next, we'll stand together." As the transmission ended, the fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, greeted by cheering crowds and flashing cameras. The war was far from over, but for now, hope burned brighter than fear. And somewhere deep within each survivor, a quiet promise took root. No matter how dark the galaxy became, humanity would never give up.